need some research.
It smokes, it drinks, it philosophizes.
Just let me suck, please. Just a little suck on each one.
My mouth's bleeding, Bert! My mouth's bleeding!
Shall we talk now or wait?
WNBC.
I tried to keep my face a little more restrained that time. Podcasting's weird.
It is. Why are we doing this?
I don't know. What the fuck else are we gonna do? Everything's weird and pointless.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
Well, I know why we're doing this, because this is maybe the most amazing fucking mashup of two movies to ever be reviewed together.
Yes.
Yes. Which
are
this episode of Cinephiliacs, brought to you by the film Cactus Jack. Stick around for a trailer at the end. Blah blah blah. Tobias Lindholm's A War, and whoever the fuck made it's Santa with muscles. I have no idea who the director was.
Yeah, I haven't really Googled much on it, actually. But I do know, I did Google it at least once, because I did discover, I think it's in like the first paragraph of Wikipedia, it was exec produced, Santa with Muscles was exec produced, at least partially, by Jordan Belfort.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Was a producer
produced Santa fucking with Hulk Hogan as Santa, quote unquote.
Oh my God, dude, no accounting for taste. Obviously, the guy was not good at investing your money.
Right.
This is what he invested.
He must have bet on the Quaaludes or whatever the fuck that shit was.
The guys who gave us money and kept their real name off of Cactus Jack made a better investment than fucking Jordan Belfort did.
What are you talking about? This is fucking art.
Right.
High art.
You mean Cactus
Santa with
Jack
muscles? I mean,
art, right. Jack ain't. It's trash.
No, I'm saying with respect to Jordan Belfort making a bad decision. I'm like, no, this is the best decision
maybe he was just
ever
a massive
made.
Hulk Hogan fan. Maybe that was it.
Could
He
be.
just wanted to
Who
meet
isn't?
Hulk Hogan and after this movie.
I think I'm a bigger fan.
Now. My 7-year-old might be one.
Oh yeah, so because that was part of what I wanted to ask. I know you watched it with Q, so I was curious what he thought. Like, what you texted me once.
Yeah, feel free to pick family shit once in a while, because I can actually watch it with him instead of having to stay up till 2 a.m. or whatever.
Shit, I better change my next one then.
2 a.m. used to be early for me. This COVID shit needs to end, so I can just put him on a bus and go back to bed.
And you can watch.
Well, first though, we're doing our pick shit. Don't we do that up front now? The pick.
Yeah, if you want, I'm down.
Whatever?
Sure.
So we don't get buzzed out. What do we leave off on? I had Zardoz,
and I had Life Itself, the Roger Ebert documentary.
Which do sound amazing together, even. But
I do. I wonder what Ebert thought of Zardoz.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be in the mix.
Yes.
Shit.
So I got a bit of a sore throat, so I might be coughing a lot.
It's all good. No one listens to this shit anyway.
Right.
Speaking of which, we have a sort of unofficial sponsor. My buddy owns, or he's a part owner in Soul Boxer, which I normally drink on this podcast, but he hooked us up with a couple bottles. I guess yours aren't there yet, but I'm drinking it right now, and the shit is good.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to ride today, but I haven't
That's
seen
a
it
hat
yet.
he gave me, which is good because dude needed a new hat.
Oh shit, I did. I was tabbed out. Sorry. Let me see. Oh, you're wearing that.
It just says.
I can't really see it much. Oh,
SB
okay.
Soul Boxer. It's pretty understated chill hat, but
it's cool. I need one of those. I'll
I think he sent you one.
Advertise for him. Cool. Cover
I don't know
my
if they're an
bald
official.
head.
I mean, it's not like an official sponsorship, but they hooked us up with free shit. I'll talk about how awesome it is because I drink it anyway.
They sponsored our alcohol portion of this. You know, our need to purchase alcohol.
But if you fuckers would actually subscribe,
you fucking
maybe we'll get enough
losers.
subscribers to get a real fucking sponsorship.
Just one click. Do it.
Let us drink for free. What else do we do?
Even better yet.
That way I
sign
can
up for
tell
our
my
Patreon.
wife.
Do we have one Patreon yet? A patron?
So. If we
Be
do,
our
it's
first
you.
patron. Right?
I think we have like 3 Patreon accounts, and all of them are you giving us money. That's how you funnel money to me.
Like the first 3 Cactus Jack sales, you're just testing it and
Totally.
shit, but it's like always just
You mean 60% of Cactus Jack? That's a whole nother story for another time.
Oh shit.
I have
So
a few
picks,
different picks. I'm thinking, man. What do you got?
I got definitely a few in the hopper, but
I know it's hard.
the one I decided to go with ultimately is partly because Life Itself is my other pick. So I wanted something that gave you a good choice between that and something else.
That's always a factor.
Yeah. And in our podcast, my favorite movie with Michael Veers, we did Halloween, and the subject of John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, quote unquote, came up. And I've been wanting to see. I've seen The Thing and the other two movies I haven't seen. So one of them in particular I really want to see, but it's the third. The Thing is the first.
So did you pick the second one?
So I picked the second one just so we could watch them in order, because we've both seen The Thing. I don't know if you've seen this yet, either of the second or the third. I don't think.
No, the third is like you. Always been on my list of shit to see, but I just never.
Yeah, In the Mouth of Madness of Sam Neill and shit, but it's like this Lovecraftian sort of Clive Barker-ish kind of thing.
Clive Barker, I thought it had something to do with it, but maybe
he did.
Thought he wrote it or some shit.
I don't know much about it really, but it looks super interesting. The trailer is kind of crazy, and they call it the Apocalypse trilogy, but there's no real continuity or anything between them. It's just like a triptych of these three films that each kind of touch on similar themes like cosmic horror type shit. And The Thing, of course, we know well, and most people are familiar with. Well, the second one in this series.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen.
Yeah, I know. I could make that my pick if you want to rewatch it again. I'm pretty familiar with it. I saw it not long ago. I feel like there's nothing that I kind of forgot about really or anything. You know what I mean? Like rewatching it, I don't think I'd discover something that I had forgotten. You know what I'm saying? But maybe just make that optional if you want to watch it, if you have time.
Interesting. In the Mouth of Madness was written by Mike DeLuca, who's like a massive producer now.
Yeah.
Like an Oscar-nominated producer. Shit. He wrote it. Crazy.
I didn't know he wrote it, but I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's writing shit like that before he
No, I had no idea. That blows my mind too. Yeah, it's crazy. It's weird how the world keeps shrinking, like the Jordan, Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street funding. It's like the more you learn, the more the dots are available to connect. You know what I'm saying? Like same with history. The more you have context, the more interesting it gets.
Right.
Like obviously that name would be meaningless if we didn't already have the familiarity with it. And the more that you garner, the more it gets, kind of holistically gets more interesting. Just the whole subject of, who worked on what projects and stuff like that. So anyway, my pick would be the second movie. Did you have a question before?
I was going to say, maybe they're doing The Thing's not a bad idea just because of our Alien Smackdown too. And then we would complete this trilogy.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it's in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's right.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
To watch, but
let's just make it either that or I could commit to watching both. Shit, right. I could commit to watching the whole trilogy if you want to just cheat it and just
that could be its own thing.
Yeah, that's true too.
Maybe
that did occur to me too
or something, but not to. I mean, your pick's your pick. I'm not gonna tell you to pick some other shit.
No, I wait on this too.
I could just pick Life Itself, and this one could just be there forever until we get to it in the Alien show or whatever. Oh, well, it's not The Thing though. It's
right.
Shit.
Yeah, it might be like I read a quick thing on it. It's The Prince of Darkness. That's the second one, and I was kind of vaguely familiar with it.
One? I feel like it's.
I don't think so, but I don't know. But I think
Darkness.
Like in the 80s, I remember it being aware of it. I think Mom might have watched it or something. I remember
just seeing video stores and shit all the time.
Yeah. So it's always been on the periphery, and it seemed like it wasn't really for me, like my cup of tea. Exactly. Like I like that material, but like the tone and the handling of it and stuff. But now I have more of an appreciation for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say cheesiness, but all right, yeah.
And it's that and Life Itself.
Yes, you have to choose between those two, right?
Oh my god, this is so hard because God, I have multiple fucking choices.
You could give me your picks, your second pick too, and then we each decide secretly and then spring them on each other. You know what I'm saying? So that it's not one doesn't influence the other, or maybe it's better that it does. I don't fucking know.
We could do that before I make my pick out of those two. You're saying?
Yeah, you tell me your other pick, and we each choose ours, and then show our cards. So you have a second pick yet, or are you still weighing between a few? I had another one. I wanted. Oh, sorry to ask a question and then immediately talk. Go ahead.
I do that shit all the time. That's my move, dude.
Stop stealing my moves, man.
God, damn, I do have like 3, and they're so wildly fucking different. That's what's so
Should we
hard
make
to
it?
pick.
We each pick from 4. I'm just kidding. That just start to get
Some
ridiculous. Nah, the 2 is
integrity,
great.
some integrity. It's on me. I should have prepared
I
better.
wasn't
But
being
one I just
serious.
thought of, stoned as shit, like an hour before this.
That's it. That's the
And
one.
it's probably the most. All right,
Maybe
Playing for Keeps, the movie that Harvey and Bob Weinstein directed.
Oh, shit, dude, that's definitely on my list. So thank you.
So it's that or Zardoz.
Oh my god, I might have
motherfucker.
to. Okay, well, I won't tell you which one, so we can. You have to arrive at yours before.
Okay. Should we like write what it
spring
is
mine.
and then show this?
It
show
doesn't
the
matter.
camera?
Nah, I trust that you know you won't change it.
Or, like write it on this Chinese container or some shit over here. A Sharpie.
That's okay. I mean, unless you want to, go ahead. But
Prince of Darkness or fucking life itself. That's tough.
it's kind of funny. They are sort of like yin yang-ish. One being about death, and you know, well, they both kind of are, but you know what I mean. One's like optimistic.
You know what?
One's
I know my pick.
sinister.
I know my pick. Do you know yours? Are we
Oh,
gonna
let me look at one more time. Okay, yes, I do. I know mine.
Zardoz are playing for Keeps. All right. Drum roll. I'll go
You want
first.
to say? Okay, go ahead.
Life itself.
Okay.
I thought about The Carpenter, strong off of Halloween and shit, but I've been on a tear watching old Siskel and Ebert clips.
Oh yeah, I was aware of that too, which is funny because I think I picked this before I realized you were, which is beautiful.
I think you might have. Which is
I mean, I know you
Yeah.
you sent me like one just that I thought was kind of possibly random, but then
And I was already a week into the wormhole when I sent that.
Right, but I wasn't aware of that at the time, so it's kind of serendipitous. Yeah.
There's
Cool.
so much nostalgia with those, and no one does what they did anymore. They even made a point in one of these old episodes from the 90s or something. Ebert was saying, maybe it was a Charlie Rose interview I saw. Shit, maybe it was when he was on Stern, which he did a couple times.
Yeah. In fact, you sent me the private parts review, and I had heard him and Stern talk about, you know, the fact that they were buddies, and Ebert had to, you know, it was almost as if I think Stern was just at least saying that Ebert, he wanted to be sure he didn't like, you know, it's like the teacher having to treat their kid in the class like,
or it's like if
harshly.
your kid, you coach your own kid in Little League, so you can't make him a starting player when you know
right.
sounds good.
Yeah, and Stern was afraid that he'd go the other way too much, you know, as a result, like trying to protect himself from being accused.
It's undeniably good.
Right, it is exactly.
So even. That might be my Desert Island movie, to be honest.
I know. Yeah, more than
yeah.
I think between that and
Trump
Revenge of the Nerds. I think so. Me too, actually. Over Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, I think so. Anyway,
you get Howard there with you on the island.
Yes, and you still get hot chicks, and you know, with the rest of the gang, they're all fun, and you know.
Right.
And it's got heart, like you said.
Yeah, it's got everything in it. So yeah, I'm picking the Ebert. I'm going with Ebert. Yeah,
I was going to say the one advantage to picking Prince of Darkness is potentially watching The Thing before Alien Smackdown, but you could that's perfect. We'll just watch The Thing in preparation for later watching Prince of Darkness. You know what I mean?
And it's going to be one of my picks for every show we do like this. So eventually it's going to get seen pretty soon.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. Next week it'll carry through. Right.
All right. So what are you picking? Zardoz or
playing for keeps, man? It's got to be playing for keeps. I'm just because of the context with us having worked.
We might have to pirate
Harvey
this shit.
Or
because with him, Harvey, they might have got wiped from everywhere. We might have to torrent this shit or something. I don't know.
Have you checked at all? No.
I don't think normally when you type in a movie, it just shows like where you can play it, and I don't think it said anything.
I use a couple of things, Yidio and Just Watch. I think it is.
Plug it in there then. 1986, playing for keeps.
Oops. We might have to eBay it though, if worst case.
Oh yeah. Dude, I wonder how much it costs.
There was one that I wanted to pick that I don't think you can stream anywhere right now. We'd have to get the DVD. Actually, I know what it is. That one's going to be weird. Like that entered my thinking. Like, let's say one of our picks, you do have to order a DVD or whatever online, and that might take more than a week or something. And we want to do our next episode, but that's the pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might not be able to watch it that quickly, depending on the event.
Copy for fucking $5. Playing for keeps. Dude, Marissa Tomei's in this shit.
I see one called. Yeah, this isn't it. This is
might
a
be a
different
different
Playing for
movie.
Keeps.
No, that's
Yeah.
2003. Yeah, that's wrong. Playing for Keeps 1986. We need.
Dating Naked, Playing for Keeps. What the fuck is that? VH1.
Maybe that movie just came out in 2003, though. I think that's the case. I think that's it.
Shit's running slow.
Let me see if she's in this shit. We're gonna end up not even
I
talking
found
about
it.
these movies.
It's Matt. I don't recognize these names. Daniel Giordano, Matthew Penn, Leon Grant, and Mary B. Ward. Miramax Films. Bob and Harvey Weinstein directed. I'll send you a link.
Right.
Yeah, you can't stream it.
She is.
Oh,
That's the same.
Oh, yeah. Is that her?
So here's what happens. They do that. You'll see these
here.
movies from like the 80s that never went anywhere until somebody in them becomes a star. There's a bunch of Kevin Costner movies like that, like little shitty ones that when he became a star, they would start putting out DVDs of him and shit, and they're all repackaged looking like he's the star on it, but he was like a fucking bit role for a minute in the movie or something, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, totally.
So I think that's what they're doing with her there. I think she has a small role and they're putting her on the fucking main shit, and it came out in 2003. That's when the DVD was printed, so I'll order that shit for $5, dude. Fucking Harvey and Bob.
How long does it usually take for those to arrive when you order them from eBay?
Oh, that's true. Could be like
that's what I was getting at a minute ago. Like, because I had to pick two that's only available that way, and
oh yeah, that's true. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you will be picking it, so maybe I should just order it, and you should do Zardoz for now. I don't know. That's true.
Or we just wait to do that.
We could pirate it and then buy it.
That's true. Let's do that.
Then I'll feel less bad about pirating.
Yeah. Not that we're admitting we will, but that's right. In theory sounds like a good plan.
Playing for Keeps and Life Itself. I fucking love it, dude. And dude, we got to see if Ebert reviewed this shit. It'd be amazing.
It's actually funny. We had that conversation about Louis C.K. and it's like his punishment is we don't pay for his movie. That'll be the case with Harvey too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's their punishment. Like, you know, because Louis was canceled.
I kind of want it in the collection.
Yeah. No, I was kidding anyway. I think you should. Anyway, I mean, if you can, you should pay.
That and Overnight should be just next to each other on the shelf. The Troy Duffy documentary.
All right, great, man. Because I have been eternally curious about this movie.
That's the stone I thought of like
only very, very vaguely aware of. Okay, sweet. So, Playing for Keeps and Life Itself, interesting.
Who the fuck is ever gonna tune into our show? Those are our picks.
I know that one's gonna fucking be crickets.
I can't wait to see what these guys think about that Ebert documentary. At least the horror shit will be funny. All right, speaking of fucking great movies, Santa with Muscles first or A War?
I kind of like ending on the more comedic, or just, you know what I mean? Do the serious one first, and then.
I get that, but in this case, I feel like you have way less to say about Santa with Muscles, so maybe you should just dispense with it.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I mean, there's shit to
All right,
say.
that's fair. No, I'm just kidding. I'm mostly anytime. With this movie.
I did watch a special features thing because I have the disc of A War. I have it on DVD. So I did watch a couple bonus features. So I do have more.
Interesting. Okay.
Crazy background.
Well, and that'll also lead you into the conversation of, geopolitics and whether we should be in other countries policing shit and everything, of course.
Too far. I mean, we could talk about your kids believing in Santa Claus and shit.
Sure. I think any of these we could find something to go on about if we wanted to,
Did you see HBO is making a Gremlins prequel, but it's like 1920s China, and it's a series. And
that's where he got it from that shop, the shop of oddities and everything. Yeah, so it's animated. Did you say
animated? I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's like half the charm is the puppetry.
Anyone, exactly. Anyone could just do animated Trolls type shit or whatever.
But I mean, it still might be okay. Like, I don't think it'll be great by any stretch. But
if I were to make it, I would definitely animate.
Oh, absolutely.
Puppets and shit.
Totally.
I guess if you had money, but HBO.
I mean, if we just could do it however we wanted, I would use the puppets for sure. But
I mean, it probably shouldn't even exist. But
I know exactly. That's really my first thought. That's that belch that immediately followed you mentioning it was pretty much my feelings on it. It is funny though. That just is really. I know I just saw something recently that was similar, where they're doing you know,
Just prequel.
the
Did you see, like,
prequel.
this
Yeah.
Cruella de Vil shit with Emma Stone.
Yeah, that right, which is sort of more a remake, sort
Yeah,
of,
they do
right?
that
But
every
it's
time.
it's
They're taking
modernized.
every female villain and giving her a sympathetic backstory.
Maleficent or whatever, or
Maleficent,
Ratchet,
Cruella de Vil. There's another one too that Disney did, I think. Fuck. They're talking about doing the Little Mermaid one, whatever that fat bitch's name was, Ursula or whatever.
Funny.
Yeah, it's just its own formula thing now.
Yeah, right.
Hilarious. Who's the next one?
What's Untapped? Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure that's the thinking behind it for sure. Didn't like Wicked? That was even a play, right? Like that might have kind of launched it.
Yeah, that might have started it because that was basically from the
because that was
of
more
the Wicked Witch of the West in Oz, right?
Yeah, and they were going to do Nottingham too, right?
Yeah, and
The
so
sheriff.
it became Ridley Scott's
And then it turned into
Robin Hood
right.
movie.
That's I wasn't sure if it was that one. I knew they turned it back into a normal Robin Hood. Like I didn't know it was
like
the Ridley Scott
most
one.
base Robin Hood, where he's not even like flamboyant and swashbuckling
Right.
and shit. I don't know if he even shoots.
That would have been interesting.
in the motherfucker.
A Nottingham one would have been pretty compelling, actually, to me. I know it's unfortunate.
It is. It'd be a real interesting movie now in the time of everyone wanting to defund police and shit to make the cop the protagonist and somehow make socialist Robin Hood the bad guy and shit. That could have been the whole reason they didn't make it. Like,
Or just two-handed it, basically, and make
guy?
them both sort of, each have their reasons and their points, like the real world often, where each one from their own perspective. Although, like, the beauty of the story, of course, this is sort of like what we were just bemoaning about them doing with Ratchet and stuff. Like, it's kind of cooler to just have Nottingham not have this sympathetic side. He is just a piece of shit, because that's really what most of the people in that position of the world are,
right?
Like good tax collector, magistrate types, especially in that period and stuff, just I'm sure abusing power readily and enriching themselves and stuff.
Now, I do think assholes are for the most part made.
Yes, that even he grew up.
I mean,
yeah, like dudes like that did grow up being surrounded by the same thing. Their own family were probably that way. Their own father.
Joker is another example. It's not the female, Disney formula, but just taking the villain and doing the sympathetic look at it, kind of. Cactus Jack, sort of. I mean, it's mostly just supposed to horrify you, but I don't. Here's the thing for people.
It's not making him that sympathetic.
Why? I mean, the hate speech is so indulgent and overindulgent in Cactus Jack. It's kind of because I didn't want to judge him. We didn't want to judge him so much as just portray him. And when you cut, because you're saying what he's saying is disgusting, you're judging him. It's almost like you just have to let the creep speak, or else
like
it's judgmental
observing
filmmaking.
nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we can get into with A War. It's very much about.
Yeah.
Let's go hit this dude's process. He might be my favorite filmmaker alive.
Yeah, dude. I love his
He might
approach.
be the baddest motherfucker on the planet. I mean, more than the PTAs and everything. That's all melodrama.
Yeah, it's like the least contrived feeling of anything
ever.
Yeah.
And he. Let's just talk about standing with muscles for 5
whatever.
minutes.
All right. I mean, really, it could be just go back and forth. That's even maybe the best.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, and we need to summarize them both. So, okay, Standing with Muscles. First, I think, right? I'll say why I picked it. Fuck it. Well, you had told me about it, and I think Michael Veers told you about it, right? Myers. So that's right, like Myers. That's right.
Yeah.
He had told you about it, and since I heard about Hulk Hogan as Santa Claus, I just had to see it.
I hope he says that, by the way. Michael Vyers, like, corrects people Vyers like Myers. Like, that's perfect for him.
No
His
shit.
favorite movie is Halloween.
Well, that was even supposed to be the mimetic device I used to remember it, and I still failed at that.
Yeah.
So
that's how we do.
I'm awful with names, dude.
Right. We've said on this probably again, who directed this shit? I don't know, and I ain't looking it up. If
I've run out of hard drive space for that.
Right. And everyone has that. You're watching this on the internet. You look it up. I'll talk about what the dude did. I don't give a fuck what his name is or his favorite color is or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, as we said, it is great to have the reference points and everything. I wish I could. I just can't. I just like mentally just to
maybe I should look it up because I'm wondering now what else he made.
Oh yeah, the Santa with muscles. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm usually better about just having the pages up before we even start, but this time I just like
you said, Jordan Belfort. Anytime you look these things up, you find some interesting shit.
And you end up kind of like it's almost too much to get through, you know, like you just
Right.
pick a couple interesting points. And
John Merlowski.
Merlowski, yeah. He doesn't
Black
even have
Cadillac,
a Wikipedia page.
Simulate. He's still making shit.
The deep fat fried dudes, their fans give them shit for being Wikipedia the show, because they do this all the time.
Fuck all of you.
Here we go
Wikipedia's
again.
all you need.
Wikipedia the show.
I'm on
What's
IMDb at least.
Yeah. That'll be because we're movie oriented. IMDb the show. Yeah.
It's funny because it looks like he started his career making like Richie Rich movies and shit. And
Yeah, I
this,
see that,
and
yeah.
now it's all like dark, stalkery, thriller looking shit. But it looks like he makes a lot of B movie,
Black
straight to
Cadillac,
video
similar-
type shit, man.
Yeah.
And just, dude, props to him. If you can carve out a career just pumping out direct to video shit, even
Pretty prolific when you look at 28
Yeah, exactly.
directing credits. Damn.
some of those guys like
It's sort of the
Six talks
middle
about-
class thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or
exactly.
like the creative middle class area. Yeah.
And he's probably doing better than that. I mean, and sometimes a dude will be like, there's the old joke, we're huge in Japan and shit or whatever, but that's true too. Sometimes you can get foreign pre-sales and America don't give a fuck about you.
But yeah, the title alone, Santa, with even not knowing if I didn't know Hulk Hogan was in it, just the title, Santa with muscles, I gotta see
Cheers to the Hawkster, dude.
this.
I was joking at one point that you and I, since neither of us give a fuck about wrestling and it's just absurd to us, pro wrestling, we should do a wrestling show where we watch Monday Night Raw or whatever and just us commenting on it would be hilarious to me. Mystery Science
Definitely.
Theater almost, but just another commitment, day job.
Yeah, if I didn't have a day job, I'd be all over that shit.
Dude, all
but just
over it.
bandwidth.
And I bet, because you know guys like Tony Hinchcliffe and shit, there's certain like comedians who'll talk about it and they're like passionately into wrestling. And it's
Right.
it's always
Yeah, and I
weird.
had buddies
you
that
bought
were
into that shit. And Michael Myers, I think, is big into it.
Yeah, that's
Veronica,
right.
who did the makeup on Jack and shit.
even those who, it seems like a lot of them know it's fake, but still are way into it just because of the theater of it and everything.
Yeah,
But
I feel like-
it doesn't just scratch an itch for me. It just
Right.
doesn't quite I don't quite get it.
I feel like I remember reading some Max Landis thing on why it's so great or some shit. And it's just like, I just can't buy corny shit like that. Like,
I
if
like
something's gonna be corny, it better be like 70s kung fu or some shit.
yeah, or a horror movie, cheesy kind of horror, like
Exactly.
this just doesn't quite have that X factor for me. Yeah, there's just
Kind of dumb. No offense. Maybe I'm elitist or some shit or pretentious, but it's just not. I don't know. So are some dumb old slasher movies I like. I don't know what it is. It's just corny.
Yeah.
And the acting is so bad. When they on the ground,
the stomping
and shit.
thing. Yeah, exactly.
it's
Just
get
the,
outta
yeah,
here.
so yeah. I mean, I can see how just if you're tuned that way, it's like musicals. It's kind of in that category for me. Like I can
Well, it's
see how
almost like
other people
Motley
really
Crue.
are really into it, but
Kiss,
Right,
Motley
exactly.
Crue, that kind of shit. Never got into it. But, well, that's a lie. There's a period when I was about 8, 9, 10 years old. I thought the shit was awesome. Fucking Randy Macho Man Savage. Ultimate
yeah, see, I never
Warrior.
quite got into it. I mean, maybe a
Well, it's-
brief like flash in the pan, like kind
even
of
a
tested
little
out.
older.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
somebody
true.
gave us one of those big, huge rubber Big John stud
Mhm.
dolls.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And I always thought that was cool. So I was into it for that. But then I know when I moved to Georgia, I was probably 12. And all them motherfuckers in Georgia loved it. That shit was huge in Georgia. Eric Hamaker, what's up, dude? If you listen to these, I know you motherfuckers got me at least sort of into it. And I remember it's just knowing it was bad, but that was kind of the appeal of it at that point for me. It was, like you say, bad movies, how you can just dig on some corny shit.
Yeah.
Like
Santa with muscles.
my friends would be watching it like, dude, that was awesome. Some body slamming. I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Right.
This is great. It's so dumb. But I did feel like above it or some aloofness to it. Like, just some pretentious shit. I was watching Witness and shit when I'm like 7.
Totally.
We just-
And when it comes to that sort of vibe, the muscle men and like weird, like theatrical shit or whatever, I was still more into like, I mean, that was when we were younger, but like Masters of the Universe and shit like that.
Mhm.
But now that I think about it, though, wrestling wasn't introduced till later to me. Really, I mean, I was aware of it, but like you said, Georgia, when we ended up there,
Yeah, you were like
that seemed to be,
shit,
and I was already kind of beyond even being in an age that would be drawn to it, right?
I do
I mean,
wonder how many
although
people
there
get
are
into
people who were at
wrestling
that
late
age.
in life.
Right.
It's like one of the things you got to get into it earlier, just like Christianity. Most people, like, I don't know, maybe there's some people who find it late in life and they're born again
wrestling fan. Yeah.
Deep, balls deep in it. Shit.
That'll be us after we start our show, won't it?
One thing too is just it's such a scene. It's one of those scenes, but it's not
exactly right.
It's like the UFC, but just bullshit and stupid.
Right. Like I'm not even that much into, sports in general, much less like MMA and, all that. Like it's the same thing for me. I just don't, there's something that just doesn't grab me. I don't know. And where I'm going with that though is this is a fake version of that, so I'm like even less interested, But of course, we watch made up movies
like
and
purity,
shit.
real martial arts, getting the steroids out of it. Shit, this shit's purely steroid shit. It's all
right
for show. It's just ridiculous, dude. But it does speak to the gladiatorial itch or whatever that people have, And the 80s were just dumb. Look at He-Man in general. That shit would never even come out for kids now. He-Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo, Stallone.
What come out now, you mean?
Yeah. Just this big muscle bound, oily fucking dude, Lou Ferrigno, fucking.
It would be beautiful when it just came out of left field. What the fuck is this?
Well, think of the 80s though. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, fucking Dolph Lundgren, just meathead shit, dude. It's kind of great about it, but
yeah. It is.
That's why I like
part of that world.
The Bruce Willises and the Mel Gibsons and shit were so great because they were like toned down. They were like more Murdoch than B.A. Baracus. You know what I'm saying? They weren't all about the muscles. They were about just being wily and shit, which is cooler. That muscle shit's corny. Van Damme. I mean, I was into it as a kid, but
yeah, me too.
Comic books.
Van Damme definitely shit, there was a phase.
I can't draw anything that doesn't have muscles because I'm just drawing comic book shit. It's either muscles or fat or a combination. Some fucking Minotaur with bitch tits or something. It's a good band name, Minotaur bitch tits. So anyways, as far as the movie Santa with Muscles goes, like I said, my 7-year-old loved it, dude. He's like, that was awesome. I'm like, damn.
Straight through so you guys watched it all in one sitting?
Well, I dozed off for like 20 minutes of it, I ain't gonna lie. And probably like 20 crucial
but he did during that while you were dozing off, he was still transfixed and shit. Nice, okay. And so he didn't get bored with any of it or anything at any point. It just carried
think about it.
Nice.
He doesn't have any of the baggage that Hulk Hogan's this joke, kind of. You know what I mean? The fucking
that's the guy.
Tapes, the fucking the reality show.
Right, that's a whole other discussion.
The fucking
I wondered if we would touch one. Yeah,
but Cabby, was that the dude he was all buddies with or something? No,
wasn't it that God damn it, now his name's escaping me. Bubba
the Love Sponge.
Yeah, it was his wife.
Like the shit that happens in Tampa. When you're famous,
I think he invited Hogan
to Tampa. You're trashy, dude.
I think Bubba, and if I got it right, he invited Hawk to bang his wife, and Hawk did, and they taped it, and it was. I think it got leaked or something, and like Hawk thought that
take down Gawker or some shit, like one of those websites.
I feel like Hogan at least was acting as if he felt betrayed by Bubba and his wife for it getting leaked, but that could be an act.
As an expert, but I'm pretty sure he
could have self-leaked it.
Hulk Hogan verse or lawsuit. I know
I think he sued them. I think was the thing.
Versus Gawker.
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah. I was on board with the Gawker thing. I just was trying to. I thought you were saying that he actually leaked it himself.
He sued Gawker for $110 million. Hulk Hogan.
And he won it. Did he win? Did it say?
He settled after 4 years. But it says the most expensive comment in internet history or some article. So I wonder what the settlement was for.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious too. Like, what did they actually pay in the end? It might be secret. Sometimes settlements are
I
secret.
remember there's a massive article I read in the Atlantic or some shit a couple years ago about it. It was epic. I think
And
somebody's making
I heard
a
it
movie
play out
of
on
it.
Stern. That came up a lot. Like I think he had Hogan and Bubba on talking about it and shit.
I'm pretty sure
They're making a movie about
yeah,
the
I think it was on the Blacklist or some shit like that. Maybe. I'll watch
No
the fuck
stone
out of
unturned,
that.
man. Totally, it could be pretty interesting. I mean,
who plays Hulk Hogan? That's the crazy
sorted.
thing.
But so yeah, you know, Q not knowing all that side of Hogan.
Exactly. To him, it's just some dude with muscles running around.
It was actually Santa with muscles, right?
Right.
Just
well, and he got that the dude banged his head and thought he was Santa, but it really wasn't and shit.
But he was the character that he was watching, like it wasn't associated with something else and shit. Yeah. And Hogan's acting in this, oh my god, like maybe for a 7-year-old though, that might be right on board, you know, like I'm sure that's the real audience, not us, you know. So
right, dude, Santa with fucking muscles, come on.
I mean, we kind of are, but accidentally. Yeah, at least when it comes to the title and the concept of shit. But
I'm gonna have to fire my podcast with him back up, rated Q, and kick it off with Santa with muscles.
Yes, do it, definitely. Probably be more interesting.
And then I'll have him watch A War and we can discuss it.
Yes.
Santa with muscles, if anyone wants to know what the plot is, Hulk Hogan basically plays some rich asshole who sells like fitness supplements and shit. Blake's Way or something is his products, right? And he just runs around with his staff, like practice fighting on them and shit, and paintballing and shooting them. And he just fucks all his staff up. He has a staff of a chef and a fucking limo driver and all that. And one day they go paintballing and they're just ripping around and they piss off this cop played by Clint Howard. Always fucking a great fucking face to see. And he's running from the cops and he goes into this mall and he ends up fucking falling down this trash chute and cracking his head and getting amnesia. And some scumbag played by the dad of the redheaded chick in that 70s show is this shitty elf who has like gambling debts, who he dresses the dude up as Santa because the Santa at their little mall Santa display is missing. So now fucking Hulk Hogan has amnesia, thinks he's Santa Claus, or at least some form of Santa Claus. And he starts kicking bad guys' asses and bad guys pop up here and there. I can't even remember exactly. Oh, there's an orphanage. Of course, there's this orphanage full of kids that this rich dude played by Ed Begley Jr. fucking, who used to be a kid at that orphanage back in the day. Wasn't Hulk Hogan's character too? Wasn't that like some reveal that they were?
Yeah, they were like,
they were both orphans there together or something.
I caught that they were like brothers or something. That's how I understood it, but I could be wrong because they said something about when dad did this or dad did that or some shit. You know, but yeah,
that's right. I might have missed some of that when I was sleeping too. But there's like some magic crystals under the orphanage that he needs to fight. He's trying to get. It's just it's just full of bad movie shit. It's all of it's bad movie shit. There's not a single idea in it that's not
bad movie 101, basically. Just exactly right. Like if you were to be told to come up with like a bad,
it plays like a parody
90s, mid 90s. It is. Yeah, it very much so, right? Like you would choose Hulk Hogan, you would call it Santa with muscles. You'd put crystals under a fucking orphanage. Yeah, it's exactly what you would do if you were told to make some fucking cheesy.
I'd have a hard time thinking of ideas this bad.
Right?
Like if it was a parody, it's amazing because it's like they thought of the worst shit.
Now, no Don offense. Stark was the actor who you're talking about that was in the 70s show. He played Bob Pinciotti. At first I couldn't stand him in it, but then over time I started to kind of appreciate him in a way.
Yeah, like he's just kind of a lounge lizard type dude or something, wasn't he? Kind of just chauvinist and shit.
But my favorite shit in this, my favorite shit in this. So, and it was, Mila Kunis was in this too.
Oh yeah, she's like 9 years old.
First feature film or something. I think that was surprising to see. But my favorite shit in it was the evil henchman.
Yes,
those two guys,
the scientists, even they were called, right?
And they were like complete dolts and shit. Especially one of them though, the one
The gas
bald
guy,
one with
or-
the dude, he was hilarious, dude.
He, like methane gases people. And
Yes.
shit. Oh my
But just
god.
he was like, just like with these
The
fake
acting
teeth.
was like Power Rangers
Awful.
level shit, dude.
Awful, but kind of enjoyably awful, you know.
I'm glad I
Somewhat.
watched
I mean,
it, dude.
it took
If
me
Q
many.
wants to watch,
yeah,
if
me
it becomes
too.
one of those movies where he's like,
Yes.
I've seen him, I'm like, no, dude.
I know. I was thinking that like when he's an adult, he's going to watch it for nostalgia and shit. Now, hilarious.
Himself. What the fuck?
Try to show it to his girlfriend. Like, what the fuck? And
That's the problem with watching kid shit. Like our nostalgia is fucking Freddy Krueger and all kinds
There's
of
some
Charles
shit,
Bronson
never-ending
and
story
shit.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true. But that's the solid kid shit. Some shit made for kids is good, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Never Ending Story has some corny shit in it,
Time
but that
Bandits and
Artax
shit.
scene is,
Oh man,
dude, hard pressed for any movie anywhere to top that shit. As
I
far
think
as
that's
just-
one of the first times I even really like was like, or the most I had been moved by death, you know, as a kid, like really hit me,
and
like
heartbroken in a
what
movie.
yes, it was wrenching.
That and Project X, when fucking Goliath the chimp got radiated and destroyed me. I saw something the other day, it was like celebrities saying what movie moment made them cry. I didn't click on it. It looks like stupid clickbait shit. But I was just like, if anyone asks me the movie that will make me cry more than anything, it's Project X, dude.
Yeah.
That shit got me. Chimps. Oh, don't fuck with chimps.
Yes.
Even though chimps will rip your balls off and
Totally.
run and
But
bury
still,
them and shit. But
like primates, like non-human primates, they are exactly like this combination of they have just enough understanding for it to be more tragic, you know, even probably than humans, you know. I mean,
they're like kids who could behead
kids,
you
yeah,
with their bare
that's
hands
what you'd
and
equate
shit.
it to. Right. Man,
Kids who want to fuck everything and tear genitals off and shit. Fuck chimps, they're disgusting.
That just there's that famous story of the one that like ripped the woman's face and hands off and shit. And the movie just had these like they didn't even give a fuck about making sense. Where like these crystals, there's one point where a kid drops it and it explodes at his feet, and they're like, "We got to get out of here. These things, you know, might go off like if they're that like explosive." And then they end up having a fight in the end in there, and Hogan and the bad guy are like fighting with the crystals like swords.
Yes.
It's like, well, I thought the whole thing was these blew up and shit.
I mean, if you
ridiculous. There were different types of crystals too.
Remember we talked, even with Michael Myers, we talked about this again. Does every movie start with 2 stars? Does that mean this is a 2-star movie? Or is this shit dropped?
Well, actually, I caught myself when I was saying it in that podcast. I was saying one or 2. I couldn't just because then I was like, maybe that because there's no 0 stars, so maybe the one is the one you grant. You know what I mean? And 0 would be if you don't make a movie, so that you know you get 0 stars. You know.
All right, so if this is the one you grant, I do like the star discussions, but I don't want to lock ourselves in where every time we have to do it and shit.
Yeah,
you know,
but sure, we could throw it out there if it seems right.
But this is just apropos to that discussion of you made a movie, you deserve X amount of stars.
Yeah, not so much like how many stars you're granting it, just whether or not it deserves a minimum of 1 or 2.
Or is it even demerits from that starting point? Is this so bad that if you get a star, it's a half a star?
I feel like the 1 should be the minimum, not 2. Therefore, each has meaning, and it's just you get 1 because you made a movie. You know, it's like the gold star on the kid's head or whatever.
It's like the SAT. You put your name on it, you get 200 points.
Right.
Or whatever.
Exactly. And that works well because conceptually there are 0 stars, and that's if you didn't.
Well, like Letterboxd does half stars. Jack has quite a few half stars from the angry right wingers and shit.
So I can't see myself ever giving a movie a half star for that reason. Probably just nothing's that. I mean, again, even the ambition of making a film is worth 1 star, 1 full star. Yeah. Then perhaps from there. Yeah. I kind of even forgot. Yeah. Right.
Does this get anything? Does this get any bump from there? Or is this a star movie?
That's where it becomes more difficult to weigh. Especially, like, of course, you have to take it in the context of every film in existence. I'd probably give it 2. I don't think it's like some shit is just so like at least this had some kind of hearts and character. I don't
2 out of 5. I mean,
I know
Then you're getting into weird territory where
But you
shit
need
that's
room
great, like Undercover Brother or something, is also a 2. Or do you give that a 2.5 versus 3? You know, it ain't a 3. I don't know. Maybe it is. Undercover Brother.
Maybe it is.
Awesome.
I kind of see 3 as somewhat just like meaty in the middle.
I don't
and
want my time
I would
back.
put that in. Yeah.
Might watch it again.
This took me many sittings, actually. I kept because I tend to watch things as I go to sleep, and I just kept falling asleep through it. And so I watched. It took me like 4 or 5 like viewings to get through the entire thing. Because it isn't really that engaging for anyone like us, you know. It's like I appreciate it. It's hard, and for a kid, it's great.
Another thing with the star type system is what star number means you would suggest it to people.
Right. And there's also, for a kid's movie, it might be 4 stars, you know, like for Q, you know what I mean? If like, then that's what it was designed to be. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Should you wait on
the question
what
was designed for 19-year-old WWF fans and shit. Like,
I know.
Or 36-year-old.
Right. Was that really the goal? Did they mean to be more broad appeal?
I mean, the Santa, the orphanage and shit, you know.
Yeah. I think it really was made for that age range.
I don't know what our timer's at. We might want to
no clue. I know.
Gears,
yeah, I'm down.
Not even talking about a war, and this dude Tobias Lindholm again deserves. I mean, this film got a Best Foreign Language Film Oscar nomination, awarded, but I don't think it won. And it might be the best war film I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's no melodrama. Saving Private Ryan, all that shit's melodrama. It's all, this shit is, he's operating on a different level, dude.
Totally. I might still have to put like Apocalypse Now and maybe Platoon and stuff like that, above it. But I know what you mean.
You know,
I mean,
like, as far as representing what war is, what its impact is, like this shit.
Mm-hmm. It's different animal sort of thing, because those are more like sweeping and just epic in scope, whereas this is more intimate. And when it comes to like well, first I guess we should I think,
I mean, if you want to say why I picked it because I stumbled upon his film A Hijacking from 2013, years ago.
Amazing film.
Turn Chris onto it, and it's like, we talk all the time.
I thought we watched it together the first time, but I could be
wrong. We might have. But the point being, there's this disconnect for me between the kind of films I really appreciate and the ones I want to make. And I felt better about it when I watched the special feature, and he kind of talked about that. He's like, I love watching Harry Potter movies and all that shit. I just can't make them. And I kind of feel the opposite. This is what I really love watching, but I couldn't make it. It's just it's not creative enough. And we are creative creeps who love to just let shit get wild and let our imaginations flow. He's so restrained and everything, but I have so much respect for it. Just talk about verisimilitude and shit. I mean, it's the performances. He actually cast, most of those soldiers are soldiers.
Yeah. I think all the non-speaking roles, like the non-main characters, I should say, maybe speaking roles, but I read that too.
He talked about when they were casting the Taliban side of it and shit, and the Afghan side, they went to these refugee camps in Denmark or whatever, and he ended up testing this one guy that he really liked. And after the thing, he was talking to the guy, and the guy was like, I was in the Taliban. I got to tell you.
Damn.
I got to tell you now, because if you go with me, then it's going to be me acting with dudes who we were trying to kill each other 2 years ago or whatever and shit.
Yeah.
And the guy ended up coming on as a consultant. Well, he said, let me get you, I'm going to put it up to the guys, the soldiers. It should be their decision if they want to work with you or not. So he said it became this amazing friendship watching these guys who realized
that's beautiful.
And one of the soldiers said to him, he's like, I identify with that dude way more than you, filmmaker, intellectual weirdo, like this guy. We lived the same experience, just on opposite sides of the stupid war and shit, you know? Just fucking amazing.
You're both brainwashed, obedient to your form of nationalism or religion or whatever. In other words, like I'd rather they be like the filmmaker,
pitting us against each other.
Yeah, no, I know.
We don't
I'm just saying though.
You and I.
Yes. No, that's cool. I love that. That like, and that is really what goes down. Like these people who are shooting at each other, they were just each raised in their particular paradigm, whereas when they're put together to make a film together, they suddenly realize they're both humans. They actually kind of like each other and relate to each other. And
the human thing is huge. He talked in the special features about how dehumanizing not only most military movies are and war movies are, but the military itself, how wearing a uniform is dehumanizing, all these things they do to suck your individuality away and just make you this soldier or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to one of the soldiers who said his greatest fear over there wasn't death. It was very much what this movie's about. If you want to summarize it in a second, his biggest fear was being persecuted when he came home.
Mm-hmm.
Being prosecuted,
sort of shit. You know?
No, being prosecuted.
Well, I know specifically that's the case here. I'm just saying in a general way, that's a phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Of course. But he was saying literally though, that the rules, like war has changed so much, and we live in this Western society. The rules of engagement are rules that the enemy's not playing by. So what the politicians in powers that be do is they take these regular dudes, these 20-year-old guys, and they say, go do the worst thing ever, but here are these very strict rules you must abide by while you go do it and shit. You know what I mean? Like
back in the quote unquote baby killer days, it wasn't as much. It was more, a little bit more, you know, obviously there were trials
and shit. And there was,
exactly. But the rules weren't quite like what they are today. It seems even more clinical and like checklisted.
Very stringent,
like,
because it's all litigious and shit.
That's my point.
It's almost the way lawyers make drone strike decisions and shit now.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is just fucking insane.
More black and white and like codified.
Here's the real kicker though. That guy said he wasn't scared so much of dying over there. He was scared of coming home and being prosecuted by the same politicians who sent me in the first place. And that's what's so fucked up. But again, they issue you these rules that you have to, it's almost like the most dangerous game. They throw you into this fucking cauldron and they're like, here are the strict rules you must abide by and shit. Good luck. When you get back, if you don't play by these rules, you're going to be fucked. We're going to put you in a cage and shit. But we always come out clean.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Which is why we shouldn't even be engaging at this fucking level in the first place.
Right.
That's, again, my conclusion from this is, I mean, maybe it's idealistic to say so, but it's also idealistic to say we're going to go police the world and try and, you know, it just always becomes a mess. That's like the Tulsi Gabbard, you know.
It is fucked up. What do you do
argument
when there's some Taliban just subjugating these people or these warlords in Africa? Do you just sit there and say, well, not my fucking problem? That's bullshit too. With great power comes great responsibility, etc. But it's, well, one thing he talked about in the special features, again, Denmark specifically hadn't been in any military conflict since World War II. When we
somehow they
decided to go to war, we go bully everyone into this coalition of the willing. You're with us or against us type shit. So then Denmark, these dudes in Denmark who have no part of this beef between the U.S. and ISIS or Taliban or Al Qaeda or anybody. These dudes now, 20-year-old Danes have to go over there and shit. Like what?
I know it's what doesn't make any sense. I know, like Canadians and stuff, and you're like.
And it's just us being the bully.
I'm wondering.
You're with us.
Well, I was thinking about that. Like, what is the mechanism of the bullying? Because it's usually like we're not gonna
help when your ass is getting kicked by somebody. It's almost mafia enforcer, protection racket shit. You know.
Because with Denmark, I don't know that we're sending them money or anything like that. So it'd be on another level. It'd be more like you said.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I know, me neither. But it
like we fund
whether that
a bunch of NATO directly, that NATO goes to.
Yeah, that's true. And and whether it's directly threatened, probably not the case. It's but more understood, like you said, like a mafia type.
When I was stationed in Germany, I worked with some NATO guys in NATO, and Paul was stationed at a NATO base in the Netherlands, our stepdad. And NATO essentially pulls from all these different countries. So the Danes could be working there under the NATO flag, essentially. You know what I mean?
Right. So. Yeah. But I think like when the question arises, if you see all this wrong in the world and whether you should intervene or not, maybe with certain events like, I mean, maybe not even because like, you know, like you say, Rwanda, they say Clinton didn't act on Rwanda and was the fingers are pointed and everything. But for one thing, it unfolds so quickly by the time like the Benghazi thing, similar. It's like things you don't know what's even happening as it happens. And then after the fact, you have armchair quarterbacking and stuff.
Years later and shit.
You're right. But I tend to lean just like it's better just not to get your hands dirty and lead by example. Like, the way you get these countries to finally, maybe it takes a fucking 200 more years, but eventually they see that we're benefiting from being, working on innovating and infrastructure and all these things that actually like progress, and not use might to try and change them, but rather just be a model for what benefits can be reaped by changing,
I know, it's just hard to, how much suffering do you just,
I know you ignore. And I mean, we can still do humanitarian things. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, they were talking about helping the civilians and everything. I mean, we could still we can like build wells and like, it just might have to be that we don't engage an enemy. We just,
part of the problem is like you go to build the well and the Taliban tries to kill you for building the well for people, or they take the well over and then you got to send dudes to protect the people building the wells and shit. And it's just like you
dicks, man. It's the Team America speech at the end. Dicks and assholes.
I say crop dust those motherfuckers with psilocybin and everybody. Now again, that's we're going to battle and mushrooms and shit. Right. It's not like some.
Well, you could probably design something that's like just Xanax or some shit like that. Like you just like just fucking aerosol, Xanax,
just Cosby the shit out of everybody.
Right, just put everyone a fucking
but not to
vaporized quaaludes.
Not to victimize them. It's the opposite. No, just to pacify
exactly, because we are hardwired with, especially young males, and seem to be the biggest offenders, obviously, with these hormones, which are basically these war chemicals. Like a pig, when they geld a pig and they cut its balls off when it's a baby, a young one. I think they're called geldings, right?
Yeah.
When they do that, that's partly so they don't taste so gamey, because the hormones themselves create that gamey taste, which means that's the taste of war. Right. This gamey taste is the chemical that drives aggression, right?
Adrenaline,
like
cortisol.
That's why they don't turn into boars and instead just pigs. And they they're pacified and the meat tastes better. So it's just like, it's kind of crazy that the chemical that drives aggression has a taste. So like, you know what I mean? It's like
we're all
taste of war.
That's all it is chemicals and molecules and taste and smells and pheromones and weird, gross. It sucks, man. I feel like I could talk about this fucking film for forever, because so much about it. Like, we talk about this punitive society we live in with cancel culture and just off with their heads and everybody go to jail for this and that. We got more people locked up in cages over non-violent offenses or whatever. And you and I have even talked very controversially at times, not that anyone's made a controversy because no one's listening, but if anyone ever listens, it's controversial to say that the way we deal with child sex offenders, for example, is that a disease, or is that of course they victimize somebody, but I'm just saying most people are just like, death penalty, fuck them immediately. There's no even attempt to understand
the reason anyone's even compelled to
humanize these people as well.
They're not in control of that. It's a compulsion, right?
Exactly. Like, lucky for you or me,
lucky we don't have it, right? Exactly. Or
the point being,
general, like the opposite sex.
Should we put this guy in prison? Should we put him in prison for life? No. Because he didn't do it on purpose. What he did,
the whole discussion of what is appropriate.
Yeah, for the audience who hasn't heard, I don't know, we might have a minute.
Oh yeah, left, I don't think I even summarized.
It's about a commander in Afghanistan who, trying to save his own men, makes a decision to have an airstrike called in on this compound that it turns out to have been full of civilians. So he gets charged by his own country for killing 11 civilians. And it's whether or not, by the end of it, it becomes a trial on whether or not he's going to go to prison for 4 years, because that's what the penalty is for inadvertently killing civilians. But it ends with him getting acquitted because a buddy of his lies on his behalf. But he goes to prison in the end. He's in prison for the rest of his life because he's a decent person. That's what we need to take into account: guilt and how he's going to punish himself every day the rest of his life. He
killed 11 people, right? That weighs on a person like him with the conscience.
There's that shot at the very end before it ends with him just smoking in the yard, where he tucks his son in. His son,
he's thinking of the kids that died, right?
Well, yeah, he literally covers his feet. He goes to cover his son's feet, and he pauses, staring at his feet, because there was a photograph of this girl whose foot had got blown off and shit, and he realizes how fucked up it is that my kids are okay, and there's this other family who's dead because of a decision I made, but should this guy be in a cage because of it? Or is he just going to beat himself up enough the rest of his life that punishment is paid, you know? It's all interesting shit.
It also did a good job of selling or showing what it was like for the family that had to deal when he was away. Absolutely. And what they would again have to deal with if he is sent to jail for 4 years to life, depending how it played out. Like when the kid ate something poisonous when she looked away for a second, and then the stomach pumping scene where she had to smile and like try and make it while he's getting shit rammed up down his throat, and seeing the shit go into the fucking chamber, the fucking stuff getting pumped while she's like trying to maintain a smile and her composure for the kid's sake, you know, that nailed it right there. And I just, before we run out of time,
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, what do we get inside? Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, you know, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
I don't of course we want you. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Get down! Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
You know, there's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
I want to see something really fucking cool.
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
I'm gonna fucking show him.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show him the light. We're gonna change the world. This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Get the fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain. Do it, Jack.
You're gonna love this. I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?